Hello, person who stumbled upon this video. How are you doing? Let's make something Christmassy. Let's make gingerbread house. So first of all, we need to make some dough. I've made a video about my gingerbread dough recipe. I've put a link to the video in the corner and in the description box. For only one gingerbread house, I recommend making just half of the batch. Next, you need to prepare some stencils. I have this stencil I've already used a couple times. It has roof piece, front piece, side and chimney. To have a complete house, you need to cut 2 pieces of each shape, with exception of the chimney where you need 4. And for the bottom, I either use a plate as a stencil or I just freehand it. If you'd like to add some windows to your house, do it now before baking. This time I forgot and it gave me some troubles later on. And in the oven they go. Bake them on 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 12 minutes, depending on the thickness and size of your pieces. For a glossy finish, brush on some egg wash right after baking. So, as I mentioned, I forgot my windows, so I'm making them now. Unfortunately, I made the gingerbreads way too thin, so they're a bit brittle. Oh, yeah, this brittle. But if this happens to you, fear not, we can fix that. And this is the fix. Let's just glue it together with icing. Now let's put some snow on the bottom and on the roofs. For that I'm using a bit more liquid royal icing. You can either do it with a spoon like I do here and have a bit rougher surface, or you can smooth it out with a palette knife if you have one. With the roof pieces, I recommend to not apply the icing way to the sides, because later we might need to trim the sides a little bit and you might crack the whole icing. I've left my pieces to dry overnight. Here you can see the cracked one is fixed, but another one cracked overnight, I don't know why. Also, I've put together completely dry icing pieces and they fused together, which has never happened to me, but okay, we will work around that and just hide it. Before gluing on the pieces with royal icing, I check the position I want for the house, and then I use royal icing to stick it to the bottom circle. Make sure you use enough so it's nice and sturdy. By the way, you see my gingerbreads are not very smooth. It's caused by overworking the dough, and maybe there was a bit too much of flour because I made the gingerbread house basically from the leftovers from making gingerbreads. Before applying the royal icing as a glue, I always try the pieces if they fit together. If some piece is too crooked or does not fit, I recommend to trim it down with a knife. But bear in mind, if you want to eat your gingerbread house and you trim it and basically open the cookie surface, it will dry out a bit faster. With my gingerbread house it does not matter so much because I'm making it just for decoration. When you glued the base together, you can let it dry a bit, or if you're more confident, you can start already with the roof. I'm starting with the roof right away. I use this very sharp crafting knife to add the angle to the top of the roof, so they fit together nicely and more flush. For trimming the gingerbread, you definitely want to use very sharp knife, because if you use something dull, there's a higher chance that you're gonna crush your gingerbread and destroy it. When you're done with the trimming, apply the royal icing on the house in order to glue the roof on. After you stick it on, that's the fun part, then you have to hold it for about 10-15 minutes until it dries enough to stay put. Or you can employ your other cookies to do the job for you. Okay, here is our house, roughly put together, and now on to the chimney. It's very likely that your chimney pieces are bigger than you would want them, so trim them down. And when you're happy with the size, just put it together with the icing again. We will need to trim the chimney later to the angle of the roof, so make sure it gets really dry before you work with it again. And while you're waiting for your chimney to dry, it's good time to fill in all the bigger gaps with your royal icing. When your chimney is ready and dry, you can trim it down with the sharp knife again. I use the chimney to hide the imperfection on the roof I've showed you before. When the basic shape of the house is done, we can start with the decorating. Usually I start with a piping bag that has a bit bigger hole, which makes it easier to cover larger parts and to make some rougher ornaments. Here I'm making some snowy roof, but of course on your gingerbread house it can be something else, you don't have to copy me. Be careful about your icing consistency. If it's too liquid, the ornaments may become way too droopy and won't hold the shape. With this technique, I usually cover up all the seams because I don't want them visible, they're not very nice. You can add also other details like snowy windowsills or the door or whatever you want. If you have some other decorations like edible pearl or some fondant shapes, you can use them. The ones I have here don't taste really good, so I'm gonna use them at least for this gingerbread house that is only decoration. But again, if you're gonna eat your house, use candy you like. Okay, let's do something about the roof to hide the other imperfection. As you can see, my roof tiles are pretty uneven. This was haunting me the whole project. My normally very steady hands were super shaky that day because I wasn't feeling well, and the next day I was having job interview and I was extremely nervous all day and shaky. Here I'm adding more details to the house. Yeah, as you can see, there is really no straight lines. I'm not very proud of this house, but it is what it is. And as you can see, the quality of the footage is not great. It's mainly because of the lighting. The day I filmed was very dark. It was rainy and gray all day. And my kitchen lights are not strong enough. But in the future, I'm definitely gonna have some light to make it look better. If you also have problem with shaky hands, as I had that day, I recommend holding the piping bag with both hands, using your main hand to squeeze it and the other hand to support. And almost the last step, making icicles. I always make sure that the blob sticks to the surface, and then I wiggle the tip of the piping bag and pull it down. I like to put decorations also around the house, so I glued on a little tree and a kitty. And here is the complete house. As I said, I'm not really proud of this one. This is definitely not my best one. And to prove it, I'm putting here some older photos of my previous gingerbread house projects. So, hopefully this video was useful to somebody, or at least fun to watch. If you tried to make this gingerbread house, please comment below, or you can show me your results on Instagram or Facebook. And it's time to say goodbye. So, thank you for watching and have a great day.